in my opinion, the only feasible way of stopping tax increases is via constitutional limitation on government spending and government taxing. Why is it that we have been having a situation in which, in a democratic society, government spending has been going up as a fraction of the income, even though very few people feel they get their money's worth? I believe that the fundamental explanation is that there is a defect in our political structure, and that we must not kid ourselves into thinking that we're going to remedy it by the easy way of electing the right people to office. That will not work. Once they get into office, they're going to be subject to the same pressures and the same drives as the people we might regard as the wrong people. In fact, I have often said that the right solution is not to elect the right people to office, but to make it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing. Because unless it's politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing, the right people won't do it either. And I should think by this time we have had ample experience to demonstrate the validity of that proposition. But what is this defect? Why is it this happens? I believe the fundamental defect is that the way in which a government budget is constructed is by voting individual pieces and then adding them up. With respect to each individual piece, there's a group that feels very strongly about it. They are going to make a big effort to get that in. The cost is very little, and it's spread over everybody. And nobody makes a big effort to stop it. The result is that you get one little piece piled on top of another. The total adds up to more than the public at large would like to spend. But the public at large never gets a chance to vote on that total. And when they come to vote for their individual representatives, they are much more likely to vote for them on the basis of the special measure that they feel strongly about than they are to vote for them on the basis of some kind of overall reduction. If you look at the record, the plain fact is that increasing government spending has always been politically more profitable than reducing taxes. And the reason, as I say, is because the expenditures are concentrated and people know that they are benefited. The taxes are diffused. And I think myself that there is fundamentally only one way in which you can remedy it. And that is by a political change in the form of constitutional provisions which will set a limit to government spending. Every individual in his private life has a budget to spend. If he considers whether to spend more on one thing, he has to ask himself, where's it going to come from? Where am I going to cut? But our legislators don't have that kind of a budget limit. They can vote to spend more. And they will say, where will it come from? Oh, somewhere. The taxpayer will pay for it. What we need is to give our legislators a budget to say this much and no more. Because now somebody comes to them and says, you've got to vote more money for this good cause or that good cause. And they say, I agree with you, that's a good cause. Where shall I cut? I have a total budget. We can't vote more unless we vote less for something else. What shall we vote less for? So that it would provide the legislator with a protection, enable him to perform his function more effectively. Then the special interests can fight with one another instead of the special interests ganging up on you and me. That is the only hope we have for stopping the growth of government, for holding it back. But if we are to be effective, I think we have to direct our efforts along the lines of reforming and improving our structure. We must look at the thing as a whole and go to the fundamental source of our problems. Thank you.
The states have the power under Article 5 to call a convention of the states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution. Because sometimes what you need is not a change of personnel, you need a change of structure. The founders understood the importance of structure, and they gave the power to the states to create a new set of rules. When the federal government overstepped its boundaries, we could recalibrate the rules to take power away from Washington, D.C. and give it back to the people and to the states.